Greetings. This is the commentary on the song, Upright in My Sight. I wrote this on March 1st, 1982. I can't remember if it was a one-sitting kind of deal or not. I kind of doubt it because I had the feeling the introduction is something I added later, as well as the middle part. And my notations, I'm probably the only one that can understand what they are because I can't read music. So I just write down what I think are some of the finger patterns to it. Which, incidentally, I've had some people surprised that I can't read music because I just play by ear. And I play in an open E and an open C standard tuning. This one is a standard tuning. But to me it's amazing that anybody can read music. I know my oldest daughter, they would have competitions with their choir group, and they would go in and be given a piece of music, and I think maybe they hit the first note or something. I'm not even sure on that. Maybe just been completely on their own. And from the sheet music, she'd actually sing the song. So people that can actually read music like you would read a book, it's unbelievable to me. I've been exposed to music and the bass clef and treble clef and FACE and all these kinds of things, but it's never made sense to me. So I was exposed to it, but it's still as foreign as any language. Written music is a language in and of itself, and some people are gifted with it, and some people like myself just never clicks. This song, Upright in My Sight, I think the Lord probably has had me do it at this time for my own self more than anything else. It's all Bible to music. I have made the earth, the men and the beasts on the face of the earth, by my great power and by my outstretched arm. This statement is either true or it is untrue. There's no in between. Either the author of the Bible is who he says he is, or it is a myth and a fairy tale. The more that scientists learn about life, biology, but microbiology, genetics, the more complicated and astounding is any living thing. Whether it's the DNA or RNA and the various genes and amino acids and how these things all work together to cause systems in living creatures to function is absolutely beyond the comprehension of man. For those who try to credit random chance and some kind of natural forces to create these systems is a blindness of the greatest magnitude. Their bigotry and bias and rationalizations are almost without measure. And I will give it to the one who is pleasing in my sight. I will give it to the one who is upright in my sight. It's just another translation. Again, that's either true or not. This is all out of Jeremiah 27, verse 5. That God has dominion over what he's created, and he's going to give it to whom he chooses. Now, this may be in this life that things are given, but there's a good chance it's also a reference to the new heavens and the new earth to come, because it is going to be a new earth, new heavens and a new earth. He says the current heavens and the current earth are like a scroll that's going to be rolled up. It's all going to be melt down with intense heat, and then he's going to unfold it, and it's not going to have the corruption and decay that the current creation is subject to, but it will be set free, as are the sons of God, from its slavery to corruption and death and futility. So it may be then that he's going to give it, a permanent giving, to those who are pleasing in his sight or upright in his sight. But it may very well also mean here and now. In the song, you'll notice it's a little bit of a reverb and a darker voice. It's like God declaring this. Well, I go into James, be on the heels of this, and a statement that James made to the brethren, and I make it to you. So, do not be deceived, my beloved brethren. Don't be deceived. Every good thing bestowed And every perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of lights, with whom there is no variation or shifting shadow. Anything good we have is a gift from God the Father to us, whether it's our health, mental well-being, emotional well-being, physical well-being. These things are all gifts from God. So don't be deceived thinking it comes from something else, like your lucky star. That's what I used to say. The word for deceived is plano. I'd have to look at that again, but it's the word we get planet from. And the planets didn't go in synchronization with the stars. So they were like a wandering star. The early stargazers didn't realize that what they were looking at was a reflection off of a planet. They thought it was a star. So he says, do not be errant like a wandering star. Don't be off. Just know that every good thing bestowed and every perfect gift is from above. We need to acknowledge these things and give credit to God. In the book of Hebrews, after talking about the law and the sacrificial system, this is really interesting. Through him, then, let us continually offer up a sacrifice of praise to God. That is, the fruit of the lips that give thanks to his name. For us to stop and give thanks to God for these perfect gifts, for these gifts, for this well-being, benevolences that have come down from the Father of lights, in whom there's no variation, in whom there is no shifting shadow, who dwells in light unapproachable. To thank him for that, those are the sacrifices that God is pleased with. It's amazing to me that we can actually please him, which I'm going to come to something about that in just a moment. But that's the sacrifices. It's always been the sacrifices, even under the law system. But even more now is to stop what we're doing and to thank him as a sacrifice of praise to him. That's the sacrifices he wants. Well, then I have a break in the music, and I come back to me speaking again. Now, it's not really me because it's straight from the Bible. This was a quote out of 2 Chronicles 16, verse 9, where one of the prophets was talking to King Asa, where Asa had made a alliance with the Syrians, I believe it was the Syrians, against Israel. He was the king of Judah. Hope I'm right on this. Anyway, he was rebuked by this prophet, which he had that prophet thrown in jail. Although Asa was a good king, he did a lot of very positive things, but late, for some reason, it seems like late in the game, a lot of people really fall down. And we need to endure to the end, be faithful to the end, fulfill the ministry which we've received in the Lord in order we may receive a full reward. So if you're moving towards God, keep coming. Do not let your guard down and keep moving forward in him. Well, King Asa, he messed up towards the end, and the rebukes was that he said, "Don't you know that the eyes of the Lord move to and fro throughout the earth?" Another translation says, "The eyes of the Lord run to and fro over the earth, that he may strongly support those whose heart is completely his," or the one whose heart is completely his, "that he may show himself strong to the one whose heart is perfect towards him." I mean, what can you say? This again is either true or not. Either God is looking down from heaven upon us here, and for one that is seeking him with their whole heart, and only he can judge when that's actually occurring. But if we can seek him with our whole heart, we can trust him with our whole heart, not leaning to our own understanding, in all of our ways acknowledging him, he will direct our paths, and in this he says he will strongly support, that he might strongly support the one whose heart is completely his. What greater goal can any human being have but to seek to get in that posture where our heart is completely his? So he finds us that way, and he has the liberty. His hands are freed to move towards us on our behalf. After stating that, then I go back into the first verse again, where it's God speaking. I have made the earth, the men and the beasts on the face of the earth. By my great power and by my outstretched arm, the wisdom of God to create these living things and the inorganic. It's just the earth, the men, the heavens, everything. It's astounding. I've mentioned the Institute for Creation Research, these creation research scientists, and there's others more than just that group. You really should avail yourself of the materials that they are working in and in all these different scientific fields. They are overwhelmed by the power and greatness of our Creator. I will give it to the one who is pleasing in my sight. I will give it to the one who is upright in my sight. Our only uprightness is Jesus Christ himself living in us. And he can strengthen us to where we put to death the deeds of the flesh. Those who are being led by the Spirit of God, these are the sons of God. Led to do what? Put to death the deeds of the flesh, to where then we become slaves, not to sin, but slaves to righteousness. We're dead to sin and we're alive to righteousness. We're alive to God. And that is the only uprightness we can have. I've currently been going through a very, very difficult time, and I was asked what my greatest fear was. My greatest fear was going through this, where I look back and say, I should have done this, I should have done that, I should have done the other. But I also mentioned that my goal is to get myself straight north, where I'm heading directly towards Mount Zion in the far north, where that compass in me is set straight north, which I can tell you is that way. If almost any time, anywhere I am, I kind of have in the back of my mind where north is, because I'm heading that way. The city of the great King. And I want to get square before God, where I'm at the feet of Jesus and I'm bowed before him and bowed before the throne of grace, before my Father, where I'm dead north. No deceit, no hiding, no scrambling, where I'm completely pointed directly at him. Then he would be my rear guard as I'm being attacked, because I want to keep moving forward. And he'd be like the pillar of fire and the pillar of the cloud that were before the nation of Israel, that it went behind them to separate them from Pharaoh's army. And then they crossed the Red Sea, and then Pharaoh's army came after them and God drowned them all. My goal is that I will be on the other side and he'll say, well done. I don't know about good and faithful servant, but mainly that I'll get through the other side and he'll just say, you're okay. We're okay. So this song, the pattern of it is the declaration of God, of his creative power, and he'll give it to the one pleasing him in his sight, and then acknowledging that all these good gifts come down from the Father of lights, in whom there's no variation or shifting shadow. And then another admonition that the Lord looks to and fro over the earth to see whose heart is mature or perfect or completely his, that he may strongly support them. And then I wrap it by going back to the initial declaration of God creating the earth and men on the beasts of the earth, and he may give it to the one. It's his to give, whose heart is completely his. He's made everything, and if he wants to give it, that's what he's going to do. I want to close with this. I decided I wanted to read through James today, and I couldn't get through it. It's amazing. I want to just read, but you can't get through it, because you'll get hit with something that you just can't move past it. And I was reading about Abraham being justified by works when he offered up his son Isaac, and you see that faith was working with his works. They're both together. Works, whether it's repentance from evil deeds, turning to righteousness, or whether it's works for God, where we've left off of our works and seeking our own. These things they all happen together. They're not in isolation. And so that's why James is making the contention that with these works, it's a demonstration of faith. And if you just say you have faith but you don't have any works, there's nothing there. They come together. And the scripture was fulfilled, which says, and Abraham believed God, and it was reckoned to him as righteousness. And he was called the friend of God. Abraham was called the friend of God. With that, I had to stop. What higher designation could any creature, angelic, human, or whatever other orders God may create, what other designation could anyone be given that would be a greater honor, be a greater place of safety, than to be called by God His friend? I think I have one goal in life now. I want God to call me His friend. For me to become your friend for eternity. And if that will somehow cause you pleasure, when I was an enemy to you, call into being that which did not exist, and please let me be there. But I don't want it to be solitary, in that I'm asking that everyone that you reach through me, they also will become your friend. If it's dozens, hundreds, thousands, millions, billions, zillions, the friendship I have with you will not be diminished by even the smallest increment. You are big enough to have all of us as friends, intimate friends, in the most deep, profound, and fulfilling ways. Everyone that He reaches through me to be friends with Him, that will not threaten my friendship with God. That will stand on its own and be totally full. So that's my prayer for myself. That's my prayer. And all I can tell you